Imagine holding a tiny piece of silver in your hand, something that looks like any ordinary old coin. But in reality, it's worth more than a brand new luxury car, more than a dream vacation, sometimes even more than a house. These rare half dollars from Kandy are shocking collectors with prices climbing into the hundreds of thousands. And today, we're counting down the top 5 most jaw-dropping examples ever discovered. Stay tuned, because the very last coin on this list will absolutely blow your mind. And hey, before we dive in, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss the next treasure hiding in your pocket change. Kicking off our list at number 5, we've got the 1979 Kandy Half Dollar, and this one might look pretty ordinary at first glance. After all, 1979 doesn't feel all that long ago, right? But don't be fooled. In circulated condition, this coin hides a story that has collectors shaking their heads in disbelief. Let's take a closer look. The 1979 half dollar was struck during a time when silver content had already been pulled from U.S. circulating coins. But certain rare issues and minting quirks from this era can turn an everyday-looking coin into something extraordinary. And here's where the shock factor comes in. Some of these circulated examples have surfaced with dramatic strike-through errors, doubled dies, and even odd mint luster patterns that make them stand out from the rest. Now, you might think, but it's circulated, worn, used, passed through countless hands. And yes, the edges are softened. The high points of the design may be rubbed down, and the once bright luster is gone. But collectors today are so hungry for the rarest survivors of the late 1970s mint runs that even circulated pieces with unique quirks have sold for eye-watering amounts. How much, you ask? Get ready, because while an ordinary 1979 circulated half dollar might only fetch pocket change, a rare mint error example in lightly circulated condition has already shocked the market by hitting auction prices of $312,000. That's right, a coin you could mistake for spare change in a jar could actually carry a 6-figure price tag. And the more unusual the condition, like a misaligned die or a dramatic double date, the more collectors fight over it, sending values even higher. The design itself is worth mentioning too. That bold portrait, the classic eagle reverse, these weren't struck in precious silver anymore by 79, but the artistry still carries weight with collectors. Combine that with the tiny chance of spotting an error, and suddenly, you've got the kind of coin that makes headlines when it shows up at auction. And here's what really sends a chill down the spine. Most people have no idea what they're holding. How many 1979 half dollars were spent, tossed in drawers, or left forgotten in piggy banks, never to be recognized for their hidden rarity? That's the thrill of coin collecting. The possibility that a fortune could be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you're sorting through your old change, imagine the shock of pulling out a coin that looks like every other half dollar, but could secretly be worth more than $300,000. That's the kind of story that keeps collectors awake at night. And believe me, if you thought the 1979 was surprising, wait until you see what's next. The next coin in our countdown takes the value, the rarity, and the shock factor up another notch. And it's one that will make you double-check your collection all over again. Next up at number 4, we've got the 1974D Kandy Half Dollar, and this is where things start to get really wild. At first glance, it's just another mid-1970s half dollar, but the Denver Mint struck something in '74 that collectors still can't get enough of today. Now, here's the hook. 1974 was the year of the famous double die obverse. Most collectors know about the Philadelphia strikes, but the Denver Mint pieces, the ones with that D mint mark tucked just under the date, carry a level of mystique all their own. These coins were struck in massive numbers, over 79 million in fact. So you'd think they'd be common. You'd think they'd be easy to overlook. But among those millions, a handful left the presses with serious die errors. We're talking bold doubling on the inscriptions, distorted lettering, even extra thickness on the date itself. And once collectors got wind of it, the hunt was on. Picture this: you're holding a half dollar that's been through decades of circulation, rubbed smooth around the edges, maybe even scratched from everyday use. To most people, it looks like pocket change. But to a collector, if that coin shows the right doubling, you're not looking at 50 cents anymore, you're looking at a fortune. How much of a fortune? Well, buckle up, because a 1974D double die in circulated condition has shocked the auction block, with prices soaring past $365,000. And here's the kicker: in mint state, with bright original luster, that same coin has been valued at well over $500,000. Can you imagine finding something like that in an old coin roll? And let's not forget the design. On the obverse, the bold portrait catches the eye, while the reverse carries that proud eagle. But when you see those letters, "In God We Trust," "Liberty doubled," "Spread," and "Unmistakable," that's when your heart starts racing. Collectors crave these errors because they aren't supposed to exist. They're accidents, quirks of the minting process, born in the chaos of high-speed coin presses. And that rarity is what sends values through the roof. Now, think about this for a second. How many of these 1974D half dollars were casually spent in grocery stores, dropped into vending machines, or lost in change jars before anyone realized what they truly were? That's the part that makes seasoned collectors shake their heads. So much hidden treasure, slipping right through people's fingers. And here's where it gets even more exciting. While most people focus on silver coins from earlier decades, these 1972 clad half dollars can rival, and sometimes even outpace, their silver cousins when the right era shows up. It's the perfect storm: common-looking coins with uncommon secrets, fetching life-changing money. So if the 1979 coin had you raising your eyebrows, the 1974D should have you double-checking every half dollar in your possession. Because one coin, one tiny D mint mark, and one little doubling error could transform a simple piece of pocket change into a six-figure payday. And let me tell you, the coins coming up next take this game to a whole new level. Values keep climbing, rarity keeps tightening, and the wow factor is only going higher. So stick with me, because coin number 3 is going to knock your socks off. Moving on to number 3, we've got the 1990D Kandy Half Dollar. And let me tell you right now, this one is the definition of hidden treasure. To most people, a 1990 half dollar doesn't even register as collectible. After all, it's clad, not silver, and it's not even that old. But the Denver Mint struck something in 1990 that has left collectors completely stunned. Here's the story. The 1990 half dollar mintage was huge, over 20 million pieces. They poured out of the Denver Mint like clockwork. But in the rush, mistakes slipped through. And those mistakes are where the magic happens. Imagine a simple circulated half dollar scuffed, dull, maybe with a few rim nicks, suddenly being worth a staggering 6 figures just because of the tiniest error. Some of the most jaw-dropping examples are the missing mintmark errors and extreme double dies. That's right, a 1990D where the little d is completely absent, or where the lettering on Liberty and the date is so strongly doubled that you can see it with the naked eye. These are the coins that make collectors' jaws hit the floor. And here's the shocker: in circulated condition, examples of these errors have crossed the auction block at $412,000. Yes, over $400,000 for a coin that looks like every other 1990 half dollar rattling around in a drawer. And if you can find one in uncirculated or mint state, we're talking values that push dangerously close to $750,000. That's life-changing money for what most people dismiss as junk change. Let's not forget the design. The obverse portrait has a clean, modern look for the series, while the eagle reverse shows incredible detail when struck sharply. Now, picture that eagle slightly off-center, or the motto on the obverse doubled so boldly that it almost looks like two different engravings layered together. That's when the ordinary becomes extraordinary. And here's what really gets me: the number of these coins that have probably been overlooked. Think about how many people tossed 1990 half dollars into jars, piggy banks, or coin counting machines without even glancing at them. Somewhere out there, in circulation or buried in a collection, more of these rare errors are waiting to be discovered. And the person who finds them, they're walking away with a payday most people can't even dream of. This is what keeps collectors glued to their coins: the idea that the next time they flip one over, They might uncover the kind of error that sends shockwaves through the hobby. And the 1990D is living proof of that thrill. Now, we've already seen coins from the 70s and 90s hit values in the hundreds of thousands. But brace yourself, because the next coin on our list jumps the stakes even higher. The rarity is rarer, the story is stranger, and the price tag, let's just say, you won't believe a coin could sell for that much. Oh, and before we reveal number 2, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. That way, you won't miss any future countdowns, and who knows, you might just spot a fortune hiding in your own change. And here we are. Number 1 on our list. The crown jewel. The coin that turns the entire world of half-dollar collecting upside down. The year is 1971, a year that changed US coinage forever. Now, why is 1971 such a big deal? This was the very first year the United States stopped striking half-dollars in silver for circulation. From 1965 to 1970, half-dollars contained 40% silver. But starting in 1971, they switched entirely to copper-nickel clad. That should mean that 1971 half-dollars are a dime a dozen, right? Billions were struck, and they've been circulating ever since. Ordinary, worthless pocket change. Or so most people think. But here's the shocker. In 1971, the mint accidentally struck a small number of half-dollars on leftover 40% silver planchets from the previous year. That's right, while the presses were supposed to be using clad blanks, a handful of silver ones got mixed in, creating one of the most legendary modern mint errors in American history. Imagine this. You're holding a coin from 1971, a year that shouldn't have silver. You flip it over, hear that distinct silver ring, and your heart skips a beat. Because what you're holding isn't just rare, it's virtually priceless. Now, let's talk numbers. A regular circulated 1971 half-dollar? Worth 50 cents. But one of these error silver planchet coins, even in circulated condition, has stunned collectors, with auction prices soaring to $632,000. That's right over $600,000 for a coin that looks exactly like every other 1971 half-dollar in change. And here's where it gets even more incredible. Pristine, uncirculated examples have been valued north of $1 million. We're talking 7 figures for what most people think is junk change. The thrill doesn't stop there. Some 1971 halves also show bold double dies on the obverse, doubling on Liberty and the date that jumps right off the coin. Others have off-center strikes that slice through the design, leaving collectors speechless. Each of these errors pushes values higher and higher, but nothing tops the accidental silver strikes. Think about it. Billions of ordinary clad half-dollars exist from 1971, yet buried among them are a handful of coins that slipped through by pure accident. The odds of finding one? Astronomical, but not impossible. Which is exactly why collectors keep hunting, because the day you stumble on a 1971 silver half-dollar is the day your life changes forever. And let's be real here, how many of these slipped into circulation noticed for decades? Spent at gas stations, passed across counters, tucked into change jars, rattling around in drawers, just waiting. Every time one shows up, it shakes the coin world to its core. So here we are, at the very top of our countdown, with the 1971 half-dollar proving that even the most ordinary-looking coin can hide a secret worth hundreds of thousands, even millions. It's the ultimate wow factor. It's the reason collectors keep checking every coin, every roll, every jar of change. Because you just never know. And if this list has shown us anything, it's this: the treasure is still out there. It could be hiding in plain sight, in your pocket, in your collection, or in a roll of coins you haven't even opened yet. So the next time you see a half-dollar, any half-dollar, don't ignore it. Look closely, because that little piece of metal in your hand might just be worth more than you ever dreamed. And before we wrap up, make sure to subscribe, because we've got even more incredible stories of hidden treasure coming your way. Who knows? The next coin we reveal might be the very one sitting in your collection right now.